How's it going, everyone? Session here. Welcome. Now, I think that a lot of people have been kind of feeling a little bit of like nostalgia sadness because usually sometimes like things are really good to embrace and really get excited for, but then also there are some things that are just tough to really understand too, so obviously like the evolution of Call of Duty with Warzone and multiplayer story campaign zombies, gameplay, everything you can possibly name. Sometimes it's like just hard to come back and see that they did such a great job with like furthering the development of the game over the course of time, and then they try and become innovative and create new ways to make things even more unique and interesting. And I'm always like a big fan of that too. But also there are just moments where there are some times where like a game is just so good that it doesn't need to be fixed. You know what I mean? Or like you don't have to do anything to it for that matter, right? I think that like that's the exact kind of gameplay that I'm always yearning for. And so I think a lot of players would also agree that, you know, you don't really need to make a new game every single year. And I feel like that's always been like Call of Duty's downfall, So, or at least like not their downfall, but like the biggest caveat is that they always try to find some way to like, become like those sports games where they constantly make a new game, new story, new campaign, everything too. And here's the thing, right? Because like Black Ops 6 was supposed to be like that innovative, like, hey, this game has been 4 years in the making. We put in time and time again to make like the most incredible experience ever. And like, I would say that they did that with certain aspects of like the campaign, right? The campaign was incredible. The zombies mode is like a lot of fun, which is cool. And I like that they kind of go back to the roots of like round based, which is like a lot of things that people look forward to. And then the multiplayer is there. But like, I don't know, there's just something about the game that still seems to be always trying to find like the next big innovative thing. So like for me it's kind of tough because like me I'm also getting older as this game gets newer with new updates, renditions, and everything too, right? And like for me I just think that I want to be able to like enjoy the the gameplay, right? Just at like a simple case scenario. And it's kind of tough though because like I'm not 17 anymore. I'm not drinking Red Bull every single day. You know what I mean? I don't drink Monster, and I don't plan on like I don't practice this game every single day. I don't look up like the best loadouts. I just want to find something to shoot and just pull the trigger and then just have fun. Simple as that. And I get that. I think a lot of people also feel that way too. So it's really nice to be able to have that much fun when you're constantly being introduced to new things. But when those new things start to become bad and worsen with quality and time, it just kind of starts to have like a bad taste, right? So the fact that they're going back, because we had like Caldera, and then we had um Al Mazra, which like I kind of missed that map actually. Then we had like Urzikstan, and we have all these maps and everything too, right? Which has been really cool. But now we're going back to Verdansk, which I'm like, like cool, but they're doing this because of the as like a saving grace, like hopefully that we bring back all the player base that's been wanting the game for so long, right? From what it originally was. And like while I'm not necessarily like opposed to that though, it's like the damage has already been dealt for like a lot of reasons, and bringing back the map is not the primary issue that I think the game has to really focus on. I think if anything, the biggest selling point of the game is the gameplay, right? The fun factor to it all that stuff is really incredible. And you know we want to go back to what it was like playing Warzone 1, right? It was 5 attachments, or different parts you can use for the guns, and then everything felt great. The gameplay felt great. The concept was very simple for like a battle royale, and like I even would give them back the 150 gigs it took for them to hold this thing here, right? But again, like the game is getting evolved over time, and I think that that's always something to be mindful of. But your goal should be always to retain the player base, not retain like the next big thing plan wise. Because to be very honest, like the Omni movement thing that they introduced in BO6, like absolutely did not like that. Even and it took a lot of time to get used to it. But even then, like I still didn't bother to want to learn it because it wasn't going to be able to be provided for me as like a player, right? Because it's tough to like it was just tough to like take advantage of, I think. So like like the Omni movement was cool. Like it was cool. It was really cool to see that. But then I asked myself the simple question, like it took you 4 years to just figure out that thing of all the things. Like I get the story and the zombies and the campaign, for both of those is there, and the multiplayer, and like you want to try and create an update for Warzone. Like I get all that. But they've done all that in like a year in previous iterations, and it was fine, right? So like I don't know what was the other 3 years had been spent towards, if not just like creating the Omni movement system, because like the attachments for all the guns like the same, so like you can cross that part out, right? The way how the weapons are like statistically like, analyzed between each part to make it work too, like yeah, sure. Um, but like again, like, Omni movement was like a 4 year development thing, which I'm like I don't really see the point of that, right? So it's kind of tough. Now we're gonna come back to this, and while like Verdansk is gonna become like this incredible like return to what it was before with the roots, there's still so many other issues that we have to keep in mind of that like kind of revolve around this. Now, I think I'd like to retain a lot of hope in this because while they're doing an entire remake for the map and providing all these gameplay changes, right? Like they're doing a lot of things for the visual, but I still don't think that at the end of the day that's the problem that we're concerned about, right? So, like I think for me, the the innovation that they tried to put into the table with everything that's happened so far, like I think one it's crazy how like one of the most iconic moments for this was when they deliberately just like reinvented like a single segment of a map, right? Because I don't know if you remember that event when we had to like the nuke was going off and we had to make like a run for our lives, and then we like took a dive into the thing and we appeared in the air and then the whole map changed as like an announcement. That was like the most iconic thing ever, right? Like the whole crowd was going crazy over that reveal because we just were not ever expecting the map to change. And so instead of them just like changing the map and then creating like just like a hey, like we changed stadium into like this little like quarry little hole spot, whatever, like they turned it into an event, and that event was just much more significant than I think anything that they've ever done since then. And so I think that they just need to take the opportunity to create iconic moments with their map design and their gameplay functionality, because like other games that have been in competition with them have done things very similarly without even like ever changing their maps. And like Call of Duty is in the like prime position, it kind of always has been up with like the with the greats as being a battle royale experience that anybody can partake in and play. And like you really don't have to be frustrated by the issues of the gameplay, but you'd be more concerned about the skill gap, if anything, between yourself and other players, right? Which is kind of always how it was. But then we have these issues where we encountered like the constant cheating, which was supposed to be like handled by like a like an anti cheat, but that didn't work, right? And then there was the constant, ever changing meta of weapon balancing and design. And of course, like I get that that's like a necessity too, like for sure I do. But even still, like I don't want to constantly have to find like my new favorite gun because you nerf it or buff it every single time. I mean, I get like balancing weapons is cool and all, but like this game is competitive in one aspect versus another. But even still, like everyone's always trying to find like the next big thing meta wise, right? And I think that also kind of just changes what ends up being the case scenario. Now I think that like if a gun is too strong, for sure like tuning it down like a little bit would be helpful. But there's the issue where they had like 70 weapons and everybody only used like 5 out of 70, right? So the only time that they really wanted to go out of their way to make one weapon stronger is because the other 5 just needed like a competition. But then they would overtune it, and then they got to bring those guns up, and then there's 6 guns that are too strong, and then they end up dropping off all 6 of those guns really badly. But then they bring up like 3 new ones, right? So they constantly go doing this back and forth too, and it's always been like a huge headache. So like I think that like to fix this game, the primary focus needs to make sure that like you can create an experience that really appeals to like the majority of the player base. I'm sure there's still like hundreds of thousands of people still playing Battle Royale Warzone like right now as it is. But I think the problem is that at one point you had people playing this in the millions like every single day, right? I think that's the real truth. And I think the fact that the numbers just diminished dramatically has just showcased that they've even decided to make an ultimatum and say like, hey, look, like if we bring this back with our resources and everything, and you guys don't care about this despite how much effort we put into it, then we're not going to make another one. But like that's not what we want though, right? Like we're not responsible for why the game has turned into what it is today, right? That's the real truth. The problem is that it's the development team or whoever is the person head in charge, right? It's that person's fault for trying to make a decision to constantly enforce the idea that this game needs to always be some kind of cash grab and some kind of money grab. And the thing is that if people want something as like an experience in this game and there was some kind of paywall behind it, then they'll do that. But like, do you know how massive of a slap in the face it was for them to release Warzone 1 and then give us all these skins and then put us in Warzone 2 and then tell us that like none of the skins that we put our money into the first time like is ever going to come into it? Like that was horrendous to deal with, you know? Because there are some skins that are from that first Warzone section of like collaboration trios between like, you know, Vanguard, Black Ops Cold War, and Modern Warfare 2019 that like you know, you grind out the season battle pass for it. You had some really cool weapons. You had some good designs. Like they had a lot of really incredible stuff there, and they just told us that it was worth nothing. And they gave us like the next toy to play with, which was MW2, which again, like Al Mazrah was cool. I like the backpack system, and then they took all of that and try to combine it with like another thing, and then once again it was just tossed to the side, and then we got now was like Warzone 3, and or at least like Modern Warfare 3, right? And then it's them once again trying to retain all the pacing that we've lost over the course of time through MW2, but they still haven't brought back the, you know, the appeal of what it was like with the first Warzone. So like I just think that, and the worst part too, I don't know if you know this, but they mentioned that they couldn't actually, like the file and information that they had for the first Warzone is just gone because they had like the whole foundation for it and they destroyed it just to build us like Warzone 2. Then they destroyed that one and then they gave us whatever we have currently map wise for everything, and that's what it is. So like, because people have asked like, hey, like can you just go back to Warzone 1, like just bring back that version, and they said like no, we can't, which is like, how does that even work, right? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So now they've got to bring back Verdansk and then think that the map is the solution, when in fact it's actually all the, you know, hilariously enough, like all the weapon play and the gun play and then the skins that we've had and all that stuff too. Because again, like no one wants to put money into something that they can't keep forever, right? I just think that it's like the one of the biggest issues that this game has encountered over the course of time. Because like I still miss having the Ghostface outfit. That's my favorite outfit. You know, I'm pretty sure everybody loved having Ghostface, and then they never brought that back. And then same thing with like, you know, when we had like all those other like collaborations with like the soccer players, and we had like the streamer players, and we had a bunch of other really cool stuff. And like I'm cool for like limited time stuff that exists because that's what also brings the appeal into it. But then you tell me that like I can never use it again. It's just kind of like I put my time and money into this game and like I get nothing out of it, you know? Like, and again, like I get it, like live service, but there are some live service games that like have had nothing change since day one. And you can, if you've been playing like Fortnite, for example, since day one, every cosmetic and you know, emote and animation and sticker and everything you've had since day one, you still have to this day without question. And the only thing that you're missing out on is like the minor FOMO of having it or not at all because they never brought it back, right? So, and even then, they're probably still bringing things back like, back and forth like once in a while. But like with Warzone, you know, the stuff that you acquired in the first collaboration, like just all of it's gone. Like every single bit of it. There's nothing you can do to retain it. You can go play multiplayer, but like who the hell wants to go play Modern Warfare 2019, Vanguard, or Black Ops Cold War multiplayer? Those games are like probably like uber dead or full of hackers that are just trying to have fun doing God knows what, right? And they won't even fix it, which I'm like, so anyways, enough yapping and ranting. But I mean, like I said, I want to be hopeful because genuinely, like if you find a way to bring this game back to me in a way that I can actually enjoy it without having to like be constantly worried about it, then maybe I'll give it a try. But like similar to other games that are currently going through like a similar situation where the game is just not fun because it's just ridiculed with a bunch of issues. Like it would suck to see this game go anywhere, uh, and then never see it again. You know, so like again, fingers crossed that they figure out how to make the formula work again because I need them to stop being like money hungry. Because like if you don't think about the money, it'll literally just come to you, right? And with the video game especially, people will put in so much money into a video game just for no detail. Like they'll just be like, hey, we got like a new weapon skin, like it's nothing, you know, whatever. And guess what? Take my $10. I don't care. I want it, right? Because like I care about the game so much, kind of thing, right? So I think that that's the objective that they need to figure out. So again, they're undoing everything, which is cool, but none of it should have been changed in the first place. So there you have it. My rant is over.